Well, it's that time of the week again. New episode of The Boys is here. Which means it's, once again, time for me to get on camera and ramble about Season 5, Episode 4 of The Boys. It's out. It's here. So, now, as always, word vomit. My thoughts. This week's episode, definitely a lot slower. Definitely a lot more character-driven. Not as action-packed as the first 3 episodes have been thus far. But hey, we're in the final season. It's kind of important to slow down here and there, delve into the psyche of these characters, let us grow a little bit more with them before we say our final farewell. This one just out the gate. Homelander is still on his whole messianic quest to be perceived as almighty, as God himself. Then he and Soldier Boy kind of go out into the woods in the same place that Butcher and all them are going to find V1. I'm just now realizing I forgot to talk about that last week. The reason that Huey and crew were off on their own thing trying to find out about V1 was because their whole system of the immunity to the soup virus is that we find V1, we inject Annie and Kamiko with it, and then we can pretty much have the soup virus run rampant through the world. But we don't have to worry about killing our own. Anyway, that's why they need to go to this lab in the woods to find V1. Really thought it was hysterical when they were first getting there. Huey trips on a log, sees those dead bodies in the woods. He just goes, fuck that. And Butcher's like, oh, but it's not really my type. Huey's just like, can you show a little bit of respect, please? And then just fires back with, yeah, Huey's got a point. At least buy him dinner first. That's the trademark boys banter that I fell in love with in season 1. So yeah, they go to this compound. Everyone just kind of starts becoming an asshole to each other. There's something wrong with this place. It's making everyone an asshole. Huey's calling MM a pussy. MM's gonna deck Huey. They stumble across these bodies in the basement with vines all over him and knives stabbed into him. And Frenchie's like, yeah, there's something. I think the V got soaked up into the water and it affected the plant life, and now there are spores. So everyone who comes in here is ingesting these spores, and they're getting really angry, and we're just eventually gonna kill each other. And Frenchie's immune to it because he's just done so many drugs, fucked with his whole immune system, so this whole spore thing isn't affecting him. But anyway, he's rambling on about this, and he's explaining it, and I'm like, oh, so like The Last of Us. And of course, Huey's like, oh, so like The Last of Us. And Frenchie's like, no, Last of Us is just Walking Dead with mushrooms. Don't worry about that. To the point that Homelander and Soldier Boy both also show up at this lab. They don't really care because they're too busy butting heads with each other. But then we find out that Butcher and MM's whole plan, Spore is kind of making them angry and not thinking clearly, is that we're going to just torch this whole lab. If there's any V1 in here, fuck it, doesn't matter. Annie and Kamiko, they're just going to have to... Thus, fight breaks out. Everyone starts fighting everyone. Huey shoots MM at one point. I was like, Jesus. I don't think I ever remember Huey ever using a gun before. And at one point, Soldier Boy and Homelander, they're kind of bickering back and forth. Soldier Boy locks Homelander in this room filled with enriched uranium, and it starts cooking Homelander's face. Soldier Boy's pretty much like, yeah, fuck you, I'm out of here. Butcher finds Homelander in the room. Of course they have some words. It's always fun when Butcher and Homelander are in the room with each other, playing off each other, having their whole mortal enemy banter back and forth. It's always a fun time. Butcher's giving him shit for beating the shit out of Ryan the last episode. He's like, you did that to your own son, so now you just pretty much die in this radiation-filled room, shitting blood, and die with the knowledge that you just tried to kill your own kid. And Frenchie eventually finds out, and there are all these V'd up vines in the room infecting everyone with these spores, that there's apparently like this, I don't know, Vecna-looking soup who's just hooked up to the wall with all the vines. Apparently Soldier Boy knew him back in the day. He was one of the OG Vought tests. And then when Soldier Boy sees him, he's just like, yeah, guy was a dick. He kind of deserves to live like this. And Frenchie's like, that's just fucking everyone up though. So I mean, maybe you should get mad. He hates you. He thinks you're the biggest asshole who ever lived, and you should fucking kill him. And Soldier Boy's like, I'm not an asshole. He's an asshole. And then he just does his Soldier Boy Kamehameha chest blast and kills the guy, and then everyone stops being mad at each other. Simple fix. Everyone kind of gets to vent their frustrations unfiltered with each other. Any storyline is basically just She goes home to her dad, who we're meeting for the first time. His dad has a new wife. Dad has a kid. And then the other kid is kind of angry about Starlight in general. He's a real conservative. Doesn't like the Starlighter movement. Her dad's just like, yeah, no, I'm a deputy now, and every time they send us out to round up Starlighters, I'm like, oh no, I'm sick, can't go. You guys got it though. You good. And anyway, point is that I immediately clocked it when the brother was giving Annie dirty looks. I'm like, X-Men 2. She comes home. Ultra conservative parents are like, no, we totally accept you for who you are. Call the cops. What? Nothing. Don't worry about it. Call the fucking cops. Call the fucking cops. But, you know, Annie reuniting with her father, he kind of instills that purpose of, like, if you have something you love and it's worth fighting for, you shouldn't turn your back on it. You should go be with it. So then she's back with Huey, and Huey's like, what? It's great that you weren't there. That would have been bad. Kind of makes me think that her whole thing from last episode leading into this episode, her whole one episode arc was just kind of an excuse. She wasn't in the rage room with everyone else, and she could have just Starlight blasted them, blind them, burned them to a crisp or something. Just once the episode was winding down and Huey actually said it out loud that it was a good thing she wasn't there. You just purposefully took her out of this scenario because you knew that she would have, without a doubt, blast everyone into fucking particles. But anyway, then the episode ends with Daveed Diggs giving his sermon. He's talking about America and God and who embodies that more than the man himself. Our God, Homelander. So the episode ends with Homelander descending onto the stage. Crowd's whooping and roaring and cheering, taking it all in. Cuts to black. And you get this church choir version of America the Beautiful, which starts to slowly sound more and more sinister before it fully transitions into Homelander's theme. And it's really fucking cool. That's why I love watching the credits. Everyone in my family always yells at me. It's like, no, we can skip the intro. We can skip the credits and go on to the next episode. The show is over. We don't need to watch the credits. And I'm always like, no. The credits are an extension of the piece. The credits are an art form in and of themselves. The Boys. That's episode 4. King of Hell. Actually, a really cool title. It's King of Hell in an episode where Homelander is pretty much putting himself on the pedestal to be God. This episode, kind of slower. Given the fast, frenetic pace of the last 3 episodes, did bum me out a little bit that this episode wasn't as action-packed. But I mean, again, we gotta slow down a bit. We're in the final season. We've gotta really get into these people's heads going into the end game here. Yeah, season 5, episode 4. We're halfway done. The Boys is almost over. Forever. That sucks. The Boys, the final season, episode 4, King of Hell. Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Whatever you think, you can sound off in the comments. And if you like the scene, you can click right here. And I'll see you guys next time.